a world where the makers groove 3D prints and CNC. We're making moves with tips and tricks. I'm the teacher you need, helping you calibrate and level with speed. From upgrades to tuning, I got you back. Dial in your machine, keep it right on track. It's about the flow, the prints that shine. Just push print, and you'll blow their minds. Are you down with JPP? I'm down with JPP. We're building the world with creativity. I'm down with JPP. Just push, print, and set it free. I'm down with JPP. Now, if we break it down, keep it easy and clean. Fine-tuning your build, it's the maker's dream. From filament jams to CNC flare, I'll show you how to master it anywhere. Got a squeaky C axis? Let me show you the way. Smooth it out so your prints can slay. Design upgrades, yeah, keep it cool. Turn your setup into a powerful tool. Are you down with JPP? I'm down with JPP. I'm down with JPP. We're building the world with creativity. I'm down with JPP. Push, print, and set it free. I'm down with JPP. Yo, you wanna make it shine? I wanna make it shine. Calibrate that bed, keep your layers fine. Keep those layers fine. Upgrade that nozzle, adjust that flow. With JPP, your prints will glow. Now picture this, you're stuck at the start. Your prints are a mess and it's breaking your heart. But JPP rolls in with the plans you need, teaching you the tricks so you can succeed. Step by step, we're taking it higher. Building like pros with that maker fire. From calibration to perfection break, you'll be crushing the game with just push print. Are you down with JPP? I'm down with JPP. We're building the world with creativity. I'm down with JPP. Just push, print, and set it free. I'm down with JPP. Filament to that CNC, with JPP. It's as easy as can be. It's as easy as can be. Are you down with JPP? I'm down with JPP. Let's make it happen, set it free.
Hey y'all, how's it going? See, we got 3D experiments out there. Asking what we doing today with the SV08. Well, first of all, checking on it, seeing making sure everything's still good after we went out of town. And then I'm going to be working on going through the macros to get rid of the auto Z calibration that's set up in the start print macros so that I can just set it up for manual Z calibration, because the sensor, the pressure sensor on the SV08 is so out of whack that it never gives the same result, so it's always off. And I'd rather just set it myself to what I know is good and then just let it run, instead of having it mess it up every time it runs it, every time it starts a print. And I'll go over some of the updates that I use, or that I did in the printer config for the stock induction probe, to get some more precision out of the factory probe for doing the bed mesh and the quad gantry leveling. The stock pressure sensor that it uses is apparently a sensor from basically like a bathroom scale. So every time the nozzle touches it, it sets it off at a different, what it considers a different Z height every single time. So it's never the same. So you can't calibrate for it in the config or the macros or the scripts that run the pressure probe steps, because it's never going to give the same reading every time. So no matter what you tweak the settings to, it's always going to be off by whatever it shows for its reading. I see Martine out there. Just gonna hang out for a minute or two, let folks come in when they see the notification and stuff before we get started. We also have print running on the +4 right now, but we'll get to that later in the show. It should be done here in a few minutes. It's only a 10-minute print, but it takes it time to do heating up and stuff because it's printing in ABS. See Tintalon out there, and 3D Experiments asking any plans to replace the sensor at some point. I am going to, when I start the tool changer conversion or build for the SV08, I am going to install a eddy sensor with the updated firmware for the touch calibration to do the auto Z calibration with the, with the eddy sensor. But before I do any of the changes, switching it to mainline clipper, any of that stuff, I'm trying to go through to get some tuning tips for folks that have the SV08 that want to get the best results they can out of the stock machine in case they don't have the money for the upgrades, or they want to just use it as is until they start upgrading. And that's where the changes that I did in the printer config for the probe helps out. And what we're going through today about just completely doing away with the auto Z calibration from Sovol will help with the quality of the prints and the less headaches of trying to run the print or run the printer with it. Like I said, basically throwing off your Z offset every time when it's running in the start print macros. 3D Experiment says he really likes the BQ micro probe, cheap, light, and has been super solid. And now the +4 is doing its leveling tilt calibration stuff. 3D Experiments, or do you have a SV08, or are you just curious about it and interested in information and stuff? See Bearded Printer in the house. And Linear Burn dropping by. Good to see y'all. Let's say I'm just waiting a couple minutes, let people trickle in before I actually kick stuff off and we go check on the SV08. And I was trying to wait for the +4 to get started on this print. 3D Experiment says, I lost interest in building a Voron when the SV08 came out, but I'm not an early adopter, still interested in the SV08. We got just another 3D printing guy says, I need cake. That's definitely a for sure thing, Linear Burn. Linear Burn's been working on some mods for the SV08 that I'm helping him test, and I'll be showing them on video on some of the future live streams after I've got them printed out and we know they're good to go. He did a custom exhaust setup that has activated charcoal pellets built in, so you get filtration as well. And 3D Experiments is talking about teaching tech in his tool changer series on the SV08. And yes, Nadir is actually going to be coming on one or a couple of the future live stream videos once we get started on the actual teardown and upgrades of the SV08. I'm going to be using some of his upgrades he's put out as well, and it's his video about the eddy with the touch firmware that made me decide that I'm going to be going with that when I do start, swapping stuff out on it. Yeah, that's what the word I was looking for, a recirculating filter. And there goes the +4 starting now. It looks like we've got a few folk. He said he's building a V4. For folks that aren't aware, that's one of the newer tool heads that Nadir designed for the +4 as well as for other printers. Says he likes the Bento Box 2 filter quite a bit, but need to buy or make some more. But yeah, let's say I've been going for about 10 minutes or so now, so we'll go ahead and start checking on the SV08. I gotta go get it turned on and stuff so that I can connect to it and pull up the macros. But what do you know? It looks like it was busy while I was gone. There's a baby printer up in here. I don't know about all of that. But any of y'all's printers spawn other printers while you're not home? I moved my head out of the way so y'all can see, but it had popped this printer out while we was gone. Looks to be a Rook 2020. Bearded Printer says, I built a Voron 2.4, but I think the Leviathan is bad, so it's not up and running until I get that figured out with support. Shrimp Father said, LOL, my K1 spawned a Rook 2020. The Konomis are awesome, and Nadir, a few of his tool heads, he features having the Konomi in it as well. While the printer's turning on, let me see if I can pull it up. All right, let me share the screen. Just another 3D printing guy says dirty printer. And 3D Experiments is mentioned. Rohan's doing another, or doing a cross gantry. I saw that as well. That looks like it's going to be pretty interesting. See, make your mind in the house. Do a screen. I have a couple of ideas in mind for a screen, but I'm not quite sure which route I'm going to go on that yet. But yeah, first thing, I'll pull up the printer config and go over the changes that I did on the temperature, or not the temperature, but the probe. I changed the tolerance is originally set to 0.016. I started at having that at a 0.008 and then changed it around, tweaked the settings and got it down to 0.0125. I changed the speed on the lift speed to 25, and I changed the retries to 5. I changed the samples from originally 2, and then went up to 3, and then stuck with 5 to give it more samples to pull from. And then I changed the speed for it doing its probing and all of that stuff. And with them changes, I also changed the instead of being average, changed it to median, which gives a little bit more accurate results and when you're doing the probing. And you can use them, you can use similar settings if you're using an inductive probe on just about any other printer as well. And I'm pretty sure that for the samples and the changing it to median versus average is applicable even if you're using a touch probe. And then there was one other part I had changed. Yeah, in the quad gantry level, it originally started at a tolerance of a 0.05, and I ended up getting it all the way down to a 0.008 and upped it to 8 retries instead of 5. But with the increased probe tolerance accuracy settings that I changed on the probe itself, it usually does the gantry leveling in less than 4 retries. The only reason that I upped the number of retries is to keep it from erroring out, saying it tried too many times and then redoing it again. Bearded Printer said Raspberry Pi won't detect the Leviathan. The Leviathan appears to be functionally powering on the Pi, but the Pi will only detect the Leviathan if I power the Pi using USB-C power. And Linear Burn says, yeah, the stock probe's kind of garbage. But anyways, that's pretty much the only changes or adjustments I did in the printer config. What I need to do now, since that's running good, is I need to go through the macros and pull out or comment out, get rid of whatever, any of the parts that is mentioning the auto Z calibration from Sovol, where it's pulling from its script using that pressure probe at the back of the printer. It's the pressure probe that's really, really garbage. He says it's because the Leviathan's pulling more than 500 milliamps. And says discrete power only the Pi, signal only board via USB. But I have a couple of macro things set up on here. We have the original macros, which we'll have to go through, see where it's got the start print set up. Hey, Dan, since you're out there, if I just go ahead and just comment out where it has the actual Z calibration sections in the macro, will that basically make anything asking for that ignore it? Or will it just start throwing errors? Move this over so I can see the chat some while I'm working on this. Y'all still talking about the Leviathan and stuff. All right, here's where we got the factory start print. Said it will error, have to stop everything that asks for it. Yep, that's what I figured was going to be some digging trying to find where it's referencing it. I don't see it in there. Well, since I don't want to be commenting it out, I'll just go ahead and don't save because I didn't do anything that we want to save. And we'll look in the updated macros. I'm guessing this save Z later is something that we don't want. Which there ain't a whole lot on this thing. It don't have anything to do with the start print or end print. And I guess it would have to be in just the main macro then. So that's it, pulling up the mesh, doing the temperatures, homing, checking for filaments, making sure it's heated, quad gantry leveling. All right, well, and where's the gantry level? Calibrate. Trying to, Lenny Burns says, what are we looking for? I'm trying to find where it's referencing or telling it to run the automatic Z offset every time at the start of the print. QDL macro. That's where I'm at. Is in the. Do you mean the quad gantry leveling? That's where I'm looking at. Or is it a different config? Coming override. Remember, we got the quad gantry level, which is just your basic settings. It's not the macros in there. Now beat, LEDs, reset, move. global variables. I know, right? Why do companies have to mess up and mess with Clipper? We got clean nozzle that does all its quickie back and forth cleaning. Pulling up calibrate offset. And then the delayed calibration. Quad gantry level. Rename existing quad gantry level base. And then the temperatures, check heating. And then quad gantry base. I got a different thing for calling it base. And here's the start print macro, which went through that looking earlier. Quad gantry level applied. Wait. Zoom. Filaments. Yeah, might just try looking at this later or when I get the main clipper on there, because I'm not seeing anything in here other than it pulling up that. And these ones, we got shut down, kill host, heat soak, home, imprint. We got stage Z later. That don't really show or say nothing. Main tune show. Oh, that's just where it's showing the current Z height, not the actual offsets. So yeah, like I said, I'm not sure where these things are hiding at in here. Because I know it's not going to be in the Moonraker stuff. PLR. Print start, print end. That ain't showing nothing in there either. But yeah, I'm not gonna mess with this a whole lot to have the stream being boring. We'll take a look at that baby printer and see what's going on with it. Aaron showing up in the chat. How's it going? He actually is the dude that we got the Cocoa Press for Melissa from. But yeah, like I said, I guess we'll never mind about these macro stuff right now, and we'll get back to that later when things are making a little more sense. Linear Burn, did you send them over on Discord? Is this the picture you was wanting me to show with your top hat and your screen? Give me just a minute, running on the backup laptop, so things are lagging a little bit. But this is Linear Burns SV08 with his top hat he designed, and his integrated screen mount within the top hat, and it matches pretty good with the stock Soval molded bottom frame. Which of course the filter and stuff's on the back side, so it's not showing in this picture. He said that's pretty nice. And then we got 3D&T in the house. How's it going? Let me close this out. Now here we go. Here's a updated picture showing his recirculating filter. But yeah, you can see how it mounts in through the top hat, and then also takes advantage of the stock exhaust fan built into the stock Soval enclosure. Pretty slick. He's got another fan up here in the top hat too, I see. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Have to check. I think he sent over some config files we might take a look at and try. Continue. That a close-up of the screen mount, I'm guessing. Bear with me, this is still trying to get the hang of this screen sharing and all of that stuff. He said, here's the screen mount and then internal fans. There's his showing the fans in the top of the top hat, which all of it looks like it's meant to be there. That integrates really well with the SV08 stock enclosure. He said, so you don't have to open the door to do PLA. That's smart. He said he's not a fan of the light blue that Soval chose to go with. I personally am not big on the light blue either, but I have quite a few other things that has a very similar hue of blue, like this Ender 6 to my left over here that y'all can't see. And Linear Bird mentioned, yes, there's, excuse me, there's printed gantry parts. And another thing that Nadir is working on is a set of CNC gantry parts for the Soval as well. And I clicked the wrong thing and it's trying to open Cura now, so maybe it won't lag on us over here. Let's see what these the differences in these configs that Linear sent over. Ant head on the SV08, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure you could do, as long as you change the gantry or the carriage mount. That would be pretty cool, lightweight as well. Doing a set of gantry parts out of SLM titanium. Where's these going? And then it finally opened Cura for me to close it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look through these another time, I think. Yeah, I can pull up the printables real quick. You talking about for the V4 to share? Did he put it up on a different page? No, never mind. Here it is. It's under his club models. But yeah, we got, this is what the V4 tool head looks like. And like I said, fully 3D printed modular tool head for boron gantries, improved cooling, probing, and filament management options, because there's options for cutters and smart sensors. And of course, we got a few videos on YouTube that you can check out about it. Compatible with any Voron style gantry. Designed specifically using SV08 components and compatible with drop-in replacement hot ends, including the new hot end from CN3D that Nadir designed. Ventilation and cooling, uses 50-20 part cooling and 30-10 for the tool head. Built-in LEDs, you know, quite a few different probe options, the eddy probe, clicky, the micro probe that was mentioned earlier, and cartographer or beacon. So pretty much, like I said, it's modular like most of the tool heads out there now. So it's one worth checking out. And like Linear Burn said, it definitely is pretty sleek and compact as well, and nicely thought out. Said that reminds me of Minions. Said scroll up on chat. Parts out of oak. What are you talking about, parts out of oak? So it looks like it's mounted to the rail just like any Voron, so you can put any hot end that you see on a Voron. I'm assuming that you're talking about or mean a tool head, not hot end. But yeah, a little bit about this little baby printer. Like I said, it's a Rook 2020. We actually got it as well from Aaron. It has a Dragon Burner tool head with a Revo hot end, and I believe Manta. Have to see what we got. This one's easy to just pick up and show y'all, of course. But yeah, we got the Dragon Burner with the Revo nozzles. It's got a Manta E3 Easy MCU board. Pretty slick little printer, but I don't have it set up on the Wi-Fi or anything yet to connect to it. That was just my way of doing a little joke reveal, like the Soval's been getting busy while we was out of town. He said never shorten the motor wires. I was actually talking about when we had first seen it about that being a pretty clean looking wiring job compared to many other builds that I've seen. Does it already have a Z probe on it? I didn't notice one on the tool head itself. Not sure. And it just, okay, cool. ZN stop at the bottom like a V0, which we haven't had a V0 yet neither, so that's all still kind of new to us. You said, there's a joke, you said CNC parts out of titanium, so I said oak. Take it easy, Linear Burn. Glad you was able to stop by. He said, never really gotten into the Rollahan printers. This is my first foray into it. I've just watched videos of other people's Rooks, and I forget the name of the other one he did, but he had one that was a little bit bigger than the Rook as well. And now he just started doing or putting out a mini Delta printer build as well. But yeah, like I said, I don't have a whole lot to offer on this live stream with the macro stuff not quite working out for the stream, or like I said, trying to go through all that on stream and dig through the configs and stuff is not really very entertaining content and stuff for y'all. But today was more of just a little bit of a hangout, catching up on some of the newer stuff, since we've been gone, and bringing back up some of the stuff on the probe on the SV08 that people can do, like if you have one or any of the other printers with the inductive probe, you can go through and change them couple little settings in your config so that you can do increase the probe number so that you can use the average instead of the median. Switching away from the median helps you get a little bit more precise with having a probe that might not be so precise on its own, instead of just giving the number that comes up the most. And Aaron said, Rohan's starting to put out a little too many printer builds. I think he also just started doing a cross gantry one as well, that I think Linear Burn mentioned that, or someone mentioned that a little bit earlier in the chat. But I'm going to be winding this one down, coming up on a little less than an hour for this one. But tomorrow is going to be the big live stream a lot of y'all been waiting on, when we break out the Cocoa Press, clean it, set it up, and start doing some of the first prints on it. Melissa's going to be off all day tomorrow as well, and I'm not going to be messing with her Cocoa Press printer when she's not here, so y'all just have to bear with us. But tomorrow's going to be the big day for the Cocoa Press. I see Sparks on Tap popping in here at the end. Excuse me. But yeah, like I said, today was just kind of a little bit short, fun stream and stuff. Was hoping to try to get to some of that macro stuff, but it's a little bit more involved. Have to do some of that off stream. And like I said, I'm not wanting to spend too much time on that, because I am planning on switching over to the Eddy probe itself after when we start printing the tool heads and switching it over to the tool changer as well. But just check out, if you want to see some of the shenanigans or whatever, just check out the beginning of the show when we revealed the stuff with the SV08 Sparks. And then of course, again, this Friday night we'll be doing another game night stream as well. And then next week, I don't have the days set yet, but probably going to try either Monday or Tuesday. We'll start the first actual teardown build and reveal and all that stuff for the Prusa XY build. And then I'm going to start doing that whichever day I end up going with. If I do Mondays or I do Tuesdays, whatever, that's going to be the day from now every week that will be the Prusa builds day. And then say another day in the week, Wednesday or Thursday, whichever day I'm not doing the Prusa stuff, will be the SV08 tool changer build days stream. So I can kind of try to keep both of them going to get them done before Rocky Mountain, because we're bringing the SV08 tool changer with us to Rocky Mountain, but I'm doing the Prusa just on the videos. We're not going to have it at Rocky Mountain. And on that note, with just another printer guy talking about game night being rigged and all that, I'll tell y'all, take it easy and we'll catch you next time. Oh yeah, one more thing before I leave. Don't forget, we are doing the Polymaker Poly Dryer box. When we hit 150 subscribers, when I checked right before the stream, we was up to 116. So if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you ring the bell so you get notified when we do start doing the live stream, since it's not a set schedule yet. And other than that, y'all be good.